Hello, hello. Happy Friday. I see some of you in the waiting room. Everybody say hi in the chat. I see John is here. All right, let's get this chat warmed up. Happy Friday, everybody. Yay. I have to look at my phone. Friday, June 26th. What has happened to the month of June? All right, we've got Jessica, John, McCrae, Nancy is here. Oh my gosh, JCK is here. I feel like we need like 5 conversations, JCK. Rachel, I see Heidi typing. Randy is here. I love it. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. I don't know if Bryce is here, our episode counter. I think we're at 312. What number are we at? 312 episodes in. Randy, first time here in a couple of months. I know I have missed you, my friend. Christine is here. You guys, I'm a little solo, as you can see. Jennifer, look at this group. I love our community. Yes, over tea. I might need a strong tea. Paul is the first time here. I love it. I love newcomers. So everybody tell us where you're from. What's your weather forecast over the weekend? I am doing a 3-day softball tournament starting this afternoon through Sunday. Yes, Nancy. You know, I wanted our guest to feel really special today. And if this feels like dressing down for a guest, I have you know this is my favorite rock t-shirt. So Lisa got something very, very special today. Steve, happy Friday. So tell us how the weather, I know, Tammy. It is going to be very warm and steamy over the weekend. And yes, I had Dairy Queen yet again. 2 of my kids play softball and we get Dairy Queen after a lot of games. So Tammy, who works for Dairy Queen, knows how big a fan we are in our household. Yes, softballers. So I've got a big tournament ahead of me. Jason, by the way, is in... If you guys can picture Jason in Montana, tell me the visual image that comes to mind if you picture Jason in Montana right now. Somebody needs to drop me a meme or a GIF or something. I hope he's enjoying a rescheduled tour of Glacier, and he's enjoying his time away for sure. He did say he might try to pop in if he finds enough signal, and I begged him not to, just to be where you are. Same as always in San Diego, cool and sunny. Yeah, I love it. Chaos and Spurs. Yeah, I think there's warm weather in a lot of places around the country. Okay, so the suits in Yellowstone, walking and a little bit out of place. Mauricia, you win the meme game for sure. Okay, so let's get going. I'll do my best. I know, what an amazing trip. City Slickers. I think our company offsite needs to happen in Yellowstone or Glacier National Park. I was talking to my youngest daughter, Bailey, the other day. Stray Kids, her favorite K-pop band, or one of her favorites, is starting to release their world tour dates. I'm in trouble. Who knows where I will be taking Bailey to see Stray Kids. But I did encourage her to pick a city she hasn't been to, assuming we have to travel to see Stray Kids when they announce their US dates. I told her to pick some place she hasn't been, because she has been lucky enough to be a few cool places already. So we'll see where I end up. You know, I took her to Gov Ball in New York already to see them, so I'm in for it now. All right, let's do green, yellow, red. Let us know if you're new here to the community, by the way. This is one of our favorite rituals. You can tell we've been together 6 years strong, over 300 episodes now. We do this every Friday, same time, almost without missing. We're going to take next Friday off for the US holiday, 4th of July celebration weekend. And we just do a quick check-in with each other. Green is great, fantastic, high energy, all good things. Red is the opposite of that. And yellow is probably somewhere in between. And I hope that spending time together in this community makes everybody a little bit greener. That's the goal. Jessica, sorry, it's been a yellow work week. Yes, we're going to make you green by spending some time here together. I love it. And I tend to think, we've got a data junkie on the phone with us today as our guest today. We'll see what she thinks of my hypothesis. I tend to think people on Fridays might be a little greener just because there might be a little break in sight for you. Friday feels, right? Fridays always feel good. Oh, except Steve, red with a head cold. Sorry to hear that. And Cindy is yellow. And let's move on while you guys are checking in with red, yellow, green. The other thing we do is one big thing. JCK Green, officially out of a very trying chapter. Oh, sorry to hear that. Well, actually, I'm not sorry to hear that because you said that's a green thing. Moving forward with positivity, building agentic AI experiences, website officially launched. Okay, we have a lot to catch up on for sure. Congratulations, that is amazing. And let's get some other one big things going. One big thing from your week. It can be work related, it can be personal, it can be a celebration, a milestone, something that happened that made you smile. Rachel is back from her sister's wedding. When I saw pictures, Rachel, I thought that was you in that dress. As you know, I think you look like twins. But what a special, fun weekend for your whole family. And you've got another one coming up this fall, I know. So big milestones in your family. Christine had a great leadership on site, feeling energized. I love that when that happens. We've got that next week, by the way. Jason and I are bringing our team members into Minneapolis. I already warned you it's going to be hot in Minneapolis, you guys. And we're doing an on-site as well. I wonder if I should take you guys paddleboarding when you guys come here next week. Heidi, thank you. Yes. Oh, I love it. Heidi, thank you for asking, since I don't have a partner in crime on camera with me right now. I'm green. I think I'm still jet lagged from Stockholm, you guys. How is this possible? I came home and immediately went into mom mode, as happens, and my kids are damn busy. And so running them around, lots of softball games, tournaments, I haven't really had a chance to catch up. So I'm a little tired, but I'm green. Lynn got my car fixed. Hate dealing with car repairs done, paid for. Yep. 4-hour per day commute. Yikes. All right. Well, you got your car back in order. So that's a good thing. I think paying for car repairs is probably the worst thing. Like there's very little satisfaction in paying that bill, even if your car is in great shape now. It's like the worst thing to pay for, I think. But I'm glad that that's done and taken care of. All right, keep dropping them into the chat. I'm going to go ahead and invite Lisa Simon on to join us and ask her these same questions, because usually when it's Jason and I, we kind of forget to ask our guest by the time they come on. Taking a break from Prague to go to Vienna for a few days. David, I'm going to live vicariously through you. I did see that you were spending some time in Prague, and this is so fantastic. We need to have you on soon. I think we're booked through July, but how about you come on in August and tell us about your time in Europe? And Cindy decided on my company name. Look at everybody venturing out. I am loving this. This is very interesting to me. Cindy, congrats. I love it. Solidifying those details is everything. Getting that foundation underneath you so that you can start building and moving and executing. Very, very exciting. All right. I am the worst at talking and doing at the same time. So I want to get Lisa invited back on stage. We've got a great guest today. Lisa, how do you love watching me out here on my own? Like,
it's been impressive. Very, very good solo entertainer there.
Oh my gosh, you'd think I'd get better at it after 6 years.
But I'm the same. I'm the worst at talking and doing things at the same time.
Especially since, as you can see, our community is very much part of the show. It's like watching a podcast being recorded live. But the community is part of the show. And so we try to use the chat to keep things super engaged and interactive. Yes, Lynn, we all want to know, Cindy, what the name of your new organization is. And same with you, Jenny. If you've got new websites to share and company names to share, please drop them in so we can all follow you and support you. So Lisa, we founded this community, and you can see there's some OGs in here who've been with us for a really long time. At the
Yeah.
onset of COVID, believe it or not, that was 6 years ago. And we hardly miss a Friday, as I mentioned, but sometimes we have to sort of solo it. We have to like patchwork it together because one of us isn't available. But we love sort of the organic, literally community founded sort of nature of this show. So welcome. Now you're part of it.
Yay, so glad to be here. Thank you.
And for people who don't know you and how to follow you, maybe you can give us a little bit of your background and what you've been doing over the last little while. And if people don't know Revelio Labs, I actually just learned about you guys probably a couple of years ago. Maybe
Yeah.
you can give us a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so glad to be here. I'm Lisa. I'm the chief economist at Revelio Labs. I'm a labor economist through and through. And I always say I have the coolest job in the world because I just get to dig around in what I think is the best labor market data out there. So I've been with Revelio Labs for 5 years now, which is also hard to believe and is, an eternity in startup life. I have a background in economics, got my PhD longer ago than I care to admit, then spent 2 years at Stanford doing research around AI and the impact on the labor market. And this is like pre-ChatGPT, so this is like 2019, 2021, exciting time to be in the Bay Area. And then I joined Revelio when we were a company of 10 people or so, and I was one of the first economists to join and have built up our sort of outward-facing research. I always say I'm a glorified marketing team, really. So, yeah.
Well, then kudos, you've done a great job because that's about the time frame where you sort of came into my radar. And I love the work that you do. I feel like it's a sort of an embarrassment of riches right now, the things that you could study and
so many things
on. There's so many things. How do you choose to focus where you think the most value and impact can be in reporting what the heck is going on in the labor market? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, so I have the luxury that our team has grown quite substantially over the past years, and I have 13 economists on staff now. So, anything that seems remotely interesting, we will typically give it a whirl. Sometimes the data isn't there. Also, I think we just try to tell a story about declining summer intern jobs. And it turned out that actually the 2026 was a great year for summer internships, believe it or not. And my poor analyst, ran the code by me like 3 times. And she's like, I'm still getting these positive numbers. I'm like, well, sometimes that's what the data tells you. So yeah, we get to play around with a lot of in a lot of different topics. I try to focus just on what I find super, super interesting and important. And I can't escape the AI conversation these days. So it is what I spend the majority of my time on.
Yeah. Why was the data so surprising around 2026 internships?
I think we just came in with the prior that it was a terrible year given the discourse. And it wasn't as good as 2023, but then nothing has been. So.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, so where to start? I want to, I think we have to do maybe some myth busting, if that's even possible. I feel like I wake up every day and see a different headline about job displacement or job impact. Let's just say job impact, positive or negative. And I think that's where the storyline gets a little bit muddy because we're still seeing tons of headlines around job displacement. And it's sort of like the who keeps changing and the why keeps changing. One headline was around entry-level jobs, and lots of people were beating that drum, including Sam Altman and tons of other tech bros. And now even like the Sam Altmans of the world are sort of backing off like, oh, maybe we spoke too soon. Maybe we're not going to wipe out 50% of entry-level jobs. There's different headlines and stories to be told around white collar knowledge workers. Like, help us do some sense making around what you're actually seeing. Like, we have to go to
Yeah.
actual data now.
Yeah, for sure. Um, First of all, I can't blame people for being confused. I feel like I wake up confused half the time, and it's like I literally spend my days looking at the data. Truth is that there is a lot of conflicting evidence. I think that's sort of the source of a lot of people's confusion. A lot of things are true at the same time at the moment. But I think myth to be busted number one is around layoffs. I haven't seen a single layoff announcement thus far that I incredibly believe to be due to AI. And that's problematic for two reasons. First of all, layoffs are incredibly headline grabbing. They are just, omnipresent in the press, and people love to report about them. But first of all, they're actually not a very large lever of adjustment. While they are personal tragedies, and yes, it sounds like a lot of people when a company lets go, a couple thousand of people. In the grand scheme of things, there's still relatively small adjustments. So even if that whole layoff were to be due to AI, that isn't where the mass adjustment would happen. And second of all, I think, like I say, I haven't seen a single AI layoff that is credibly due to productivity gains through AI. We've sort of gone through most of them, and there's actually, that was a restructuring. They were short on cash. They were just freeing up cash for data centers like the Oracle. There's sure, can you blame that on AI? But that's a very roundabout way of saying, well, actually, we've just decided to re-strategize and spend more money on X, right? So I think there's just a ton of fear mongering. Oh yeah, here Megan brought up the Oracle layoff.
Yeah.
Yes, to build data centers, not because AI has increased productivity so much, right?
Yeah, I think, and that's an important distinction. I want to make sure people understand. Some of the headlines that are blaming or thanking AI, you might say, are, we're choosing to invest here and not in the work. We're going to find cost savings in workforce investment so that we can reinvest in the technology. It's not because, to your point, it's not because they have actually redesigned the work and decided that AI can and is doing it already, and so they're eliminating. I would say there's one headline that maybe could be credited that way, and I think it's Jack Dorsey spent 2 years repositioning his workforce around AI. Yeah, I know. The Block story maybe earned.
I think Jack Dorsey is just terrible at financial management and needed.
Right. So even that one is problematic. But if a CEO comes out and says, "Listen, I've spent 2 years reorganizing everything about my business so that we can be truly AI first," maybe you could earn your way into saying, "And so the workforce ramifications are this." But that's rarely the case. It's usually. So I love the way you're saying, why are we correlating these two things? They probably shouldn't be.
Yeah. Now, I don't think AI isn't having an impact on the labor market. I very clearly think it is. And I think the biggest one is anticipatory. So when we run studies on headcount at the company level, at the macro level, city level, whichever one, and look at how that correlates with the AI exposure of a company, a person, a city, and so forth, we do see that that there are declines in employment. So there is something where people think that. So exposure, right, is this concept that some part of your job can be done by AI, but it's a theoretical one, right? We're saying that in theory, 20 out of your 100 tasks could be done by ChatGPT. First of all, that number is an upper limit in the sense that, it's never really 20 tasks that are side by side in your workflow. So it's probably I need to do this thing, then ChatGPT can help me with this, then I need to step in this, right? So you are actually still continuously involved in working. that's this whole idea of task chaining, and the sequencing of your task is actually really, really important to the extent that your work is actually automated. But more importantly, it is that like a theoretical upper limit in that you actually then need to, go and do all that work with AI, which most of us, I don't think, are close to reaching their AI exposure potential in that sense.
Mhm.
So in that sense, I think a lot of these effects are anticipatory, and especially the impacts on entry-level work we're seeing right now. There's no doubt that we are seeing higher exposure entry-level roles are being hired for less. So that is true, and that holds. But I do think these are anticipatory effects more than realized effects. The evidence on when we're actually talking about adoption is more mixed. And adoption is difficult because it's very hard to measure. And I'm sort of conflicted myself now because I actually am about to publish 2 studies that show different things on the impact of adoption on entry-level work.
Mm.
And I can like bore you with the exact details of why I think both results are true. But I think that's actually more the bottom line is that it's very up in the air what the impact of adoption is. And I think we're about to publish a collaboration with a company called Ramp. They're a payment system, and they actually observe
There are new payment systems in
AI
business.
Say that again. Sorry.
We're using them.
See, so Ramp can basically see your level of spending on an AI tool. And so we merged that data with our data that shows you headcount, and we can see which companies that are adopting AI are hiring more and hiring less. So that's a study coming out on Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So Rachel on my team lives in New York. She said everybody in New York is working for Ramp. It's like the hot new.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm friends with the economist there, and we decided to throw our data together, and it's very
I love
very
that.
fun.
Look at JCK. I love Ramp. What they're doing with tokens is brilliant. What are they doing with tokens? Say more. Do you know, Lisa?
I'm not sure. No.
Okay, Jen. Say more.
I know that they are able to see just the extent of expenditure by companies on AI tools. Yeah.
I love it. So John's comment, technology has been taking over some tasks. Taking over some tasks has been a continual event since the beginning of. I know. I call this the Darwinism of work. This is normal, evolutionary, to be expected. AI is different as it's doing things that was more mental than physical. Yeah, this is definitely a different moment than office automation. Like different than an electric typewriter coming into the office pool.
Well, and I think it's part of the reason it's getting so much attention, because it impacts the storytellers. I forgot get the word for it, right? But there's sort of this like the fact that it's really impacting you and me, and we're the podcasts and newsmakers of the world. We're going to put it under a particular microscope, as opposed to an automation that doesn't impact the way we work as much. So I do think there's been a particular microscope over AI, and sort of more story making around it in both directions, both the fear mongering and the complete sort of, oh well, it's not going to have any impact at all. Both of which angles I find highly problematic. And a lot of economists hold that perspective to be very, 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 very sure that AI won't have a big impact on the labor market, which I find to be a weird perspective.
Yeah,
there's going to be some impact. I think we're not entirely sure which way it's going to go, but to say it won't have an impact is.
So you and I were at the same event last year in Amsterdam. It was a global talent strategy event. And I spoke about kind of the climate change of talent, like how you and I should probably go next to each other in an agenda sometime, because I think you can tell a more data-driven version of this. I talked about sort of the traditional workforce pyramid, and everybody kind of knows this story if you follow global labor market dynamics. And so, like the heavy bottom of the pyramid, that's entry level, early career, low skill, low wage, perhaps jobs, and then it gets narrower as you go up. And obviously, the most senior roles are high expertise, obviously high wage, high demand. So the flipping of the workforce pyramid was kind of the story. I listened to a podcast, and I won't remember who the guest was off the top of my head. It doesn't matter. But they were sort of arguing over the new shape of the global workforce pyramid. It's not the traditional diamond that we've had. It's not even an inverse of that. Or I should say, yeah. And then there's the argument that it is sort of the diamond, sort of the middle layer becoming richer and more robust. The new one I heard on this podcast yesterday was the hourglass that I'm like, oh my gosh, we can't seem to choose a shape. What say you? Like, what is the sort of the top level trend that you're seeing, where the most impact is perhaps happening? What we should think of it, like if we sit in that sort of knowledge worker, high expertise, like how do we think about this?
Yeah, so there's definitely something happening to entry-level workers. They're having a harder time being hired, and there's definitely a correlation between your AI exposure and the extent to which entry-level workers in particular have been hired. So it's sort of that overall effect, but magnified specifically on entry-level workers. And I think that has a lot of reasons. One, I think our anticipatory AI productivity and even maybe realized productivity gains, right? Where companies aren't hiring at all right now. And that does impact entry-level workers that are obviously overrepresented in the job seeker pool much, much more. So if nobody's hiring, nobody's also hiring entry-level workers. And I think the reason for that is in part that companies have just been able to do more with less for quite some time. So this like sustained non-dynamic labor market that we've seen, right? Like hiring and attrition just down for such a long time has been sort of enabled by AI. I think like cushioning the work load for everybody. So there is that. Now, when we actually look at whether AI adoption is impacting entry-level workers, that's where the water gets muddy, and that's where I need to, stay with me for a little bit. In that RAM study, we are seeing that the highest level intensity adopters. So these are companies that are actually spending like in the top third of AI spending. So these are really companies that are employing AI coding agents and stuff like that. They're seeing growth in entry-level work.
Wow.
These are particular companies. It's not a huge sample. It's generally generalizable, I think, to the entire, that's like tech heavy, VC backed, more startup adjacent, tech adjacent, but they're still hiring more entry-level workers. The like all the rest of companies that are also adopting, but not to that high extent, they're seeing a small decline in the share of entry level. And then that's also what a lot of these studies that aren't able to distinguish between like the intensity of adoption are showing. So I think that's how I square these like opposing results on adoption. So the really, really like elite adopters still growing faster across all the board, and some companies that are adopting AI are seeing, but I think these are all still anticipatory. They're like, ooh, we got a chatbot. I think I can do this myself and I don't need to hire an intern, or I don't need to hire an entry-level worker. And I think that's gotta turn around, because at some point companies are going to realize they need to do some succession planning and still need, their workforce to grow. We're a far cry from, AI agents taking over all the workflows.
So let's talk about the companies that have already made these mistakes, because there are a lot of them who have slowed or stopped hiring or have eliminated those entry level roles. That's why, I mean, the current unemployment rate for Gen Z is like 3 times the mean, isn't it? Something like that.
Hasn't it come down a little bit though? I think it's sort of it ticked up, and then I think it's actually like come down a little bit. So I think
That's
it's
good.
always like it tends to be always higher, right? Like youth unemployment is always higher, and then it's sort of I think it reached a peak and then has like actually declined a little bit over the
That's
past. Like
good.
I think there's like a light at the end of the tunnel for what it's worth.
That's good. I sort of hate like all the forecasting and stuff because I do think it becomes a little bit predictive in a bad way, meaning fulfilling in a sort of prophecy way. But some companies have already, to your point, stopped, slowed hiring, or are thinking differently, perhaps the wrong way, based on what you just said. High growth companies should be hiring at every level for good reason. But for those that have already wiped out or are thinking differently about entry level roles, how do organizations think about building? I know you've talked about skills a little bit in the past, and their value, whether how they might be thought about in this moment. How do companies avoid breaking talent pipelines if they're thinking about early career and skill development differently?
I don't think there's a good way of doing that. I think you still need to have that talent pipeline and build your own homegrown grown talent. I think there's only going to be so much that you can do um, on the labor market and hire. Like there's just not going to be enough talent to go around with the right skills that you want to build to hire externally. um, I do think so. I think there's like another nuance to all of this, right? I think the we mentioned COVID. If you're thinking about like the Gen Zs that are on the labor market looking for work right now, I think they like became of age and grew up during COVID, and I think that's another important layer to remember, that there might just be some like social skills missing in the labor market right now. And when you look at the evolution of work tasks, I think tasks are a more important lens through which to view the workforce through, because skills have like a short half-life, right? Like today you're using Python, tomorrow you'll use Julia, whatever the hell new coding thing there is. But the tasks that need to get accomplished stay fairly stable. But even there, we're seeing that the amount of social interaction tasks are actually going up, and they're sort of basically the opposite of AI exposure. Everything that's AI exposed isn't social almost by definition. And because the AI exposed tasks are slowly being automated, what's remaining is this social interaction that's actually becoming much more. So the uniquely humanness, like our work is becoming more human, if you will. And that is something that you need to teach the workforce. Your talent pipeline, you're going to need to like do that homegrown in-house, like bringing up your talent. And if nobody's willing to do that, you're not going to be able to hire that on the market in 10 years time, right? At the same level.
So that's a little bit of the irony of the moment for me, because everything we hear about is AI literacy and AI adoption. We think that everybody needs to be a first mover, a high adopter. You're falling behind if you're not learning how to use AI and you're not up on the latest models. There's a lot of pressure on being AI savvy or AI literate. And yet that if AI is going to do the stuff that AI can do, like, do we really all have to become experts at all of the latest and greatest tools? Or is the reskilling moment really about becoming more strategic, better communicators, better facilitators and collaborators? I won't even get into managers unless we want to get into managers. How do managers lead through this moment? What skills do they need and what skills should they be developing? Like, isn't that a little bit of a it feels a little bit backwards to me. What skills are important? Is it AI literacy or is it what you just said?
Yeah, I think AI literacy you won't get around. It's good to have, but I think it's much more basic than that. I think it's like basic statistical literacy, like basic numerical literacy, let's call
Yeah.
it, and like a general like analytical reasoning framework. But the social skills are just becoming so much more important. Specifically, we've just done a study that looked at the leadership skill premium. So
Mm.
across all levels of seniority in organizations, we're seeing that leadership and thought leadership, empathy, mentorship type of skills, people really leading a team, right, and making strategic decisions and being able to lead by example. That is something we're seeing increase, so both in the requirements, and then we're seeing a huge salary premium on those skills. So if you're comparing like two roles, right, say within the same industry, same seniority level, and one of them mentions that you need to have leadership skills, something like a 30% skill premium on that. So really, really big, and it's increasing over time. And I think that's because we have backwards. AI isn't taking away the. You still need to make decisions. People still need to review your work. And especially in the middle management section, I think there's a particular need for coordination and putting it all back together and signing things off. So I think here to David's point, that's been some of the most surprising findings in my work recently, where leadership requirements have gone up the higher the AI exposure. Actually, when you correlate it with AI exposure, the higher the leadership premium. So especially in those roles where AI can do a large chunk of it, that review and that oversight becomes actually more important.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting studies about the extra cognitive load that we're creating because if there's more output, because the models are doing so many things so much faster, that review and validation phase doesn't go away, but the volume that you're expected to sort of oversee, if you have 20 agents working for you at any given time, or you have all this, and we're already hearing about work slop and brain fry, because the volume of work that still needs to go through a human validation and correction cycle is becoming quite overwhelming. And we're actually sort of degrading our ability to do it.
Yeah. I feel that a little bit. I don't know if you feel like that, but I feel like people present me with more output, and it's like, if you actually like, can you take that for like a spin first and think that through before you give me all your Claude Code outputted stuff?
Yeah, for sure. To David's question, any headlines that you see, or sort of like the thing du jour every day that just isn't validated by your data, that just doesn't feel accurate to you?
I mean, I'll bring it back to the layoffs. Again, even if we were to say that, I think I didn't finish that thought earlier. Even if all the layoffs were due to AI, that are due to AI, it's still an order of magnitude lower than the anticipatory non-hiring effects that are happening. So, basically multiply that by 10, the decline in hiring that could be due to like a decrease in the, like, I'm cautious to say it's because of AI. I think, again, these are exposure related results, but like the lack of hiring happening because people think that AI is going to be more productive, an order of magnitude. So, really, really a lot bigger.
Yeah. Anything that you would want to offer in as the impact on jobs and how we reskill the workforce, and we think differently about value and contribution, how we measure that. And I guess the skills conversation could play in here a little bit. Is your research starting to flirt with sort of cost modeling out performance and value at work. I know I've seen some of your stuff around high value skills and how we think about that. But I'm starting to get questions, and I guess this is a good thing because it means the conversation is maturing, how we actually value
Hmm.
work moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think because work is changing so much, I think actually measuring what work gets done is going to become even more important, and job titles are becoming even more meaningless and irrelevant because nobody really knows what it means, right? Like a director of marketing today and 10 years ago is doing a completely different set of tasks. Um, and knowing that and measuring that, I think, is really important, because only then can you start to even begin to put any costs or value on it. So again, I'll do my plug for measuring work activities as opposed to skills, just because I think that's that more stable unit and activity. So bundle of activities or tasks are a job, while skills are the attributes of the people doing them, and it's sort of that input to performing a task. So I think that's just recognizing that, and structuring um, the measurement of work through the lens of tasks, I think, is where the money's at, in my opinion. A very selfish perspective, because that's what we're offering and that's what we've developed. But I do actually fundamentally believe that.
Yeah. I love Leo for always bringing us back to the very human mental
Emotional
wellness.
intelligence, yes. I think
Yeah.
it's, yeah, I think it's to that point of, we call them epoch. Um, so empathy, patience, opinion, creativity, and hope.
Mm,
I just call them uniquely human, but I think that emotional intelligence is really, really important
yeah. For the users of the tools.
for the users, and just like in the workforce in general. They're the requirement, basically. I think all of our work is becoming more, more in the need of emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Then there's the whole conversation around empathy AI, the tools themselves actually exhibiting emotional
Oh
intelligence.
wow, yeah.
That's a whole, we can go down that rabbit
We
hole.
can.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like sending Claude a picture from your weekend when when it gave you a really good idea for something?
You know, it's always an interesting question when I stand at the beginning at the front of big rooms, and sometimes when Jason and I are speaking alongside each other, he asks, kind of like weird questions just to get a quick temperature check in the room. Like, anybody friends with their AI? Anybody have like a special relationship with their AI? And we're kind of being cheeky when we ask this, but there are people who say, I would not want to wake up tomorrow without my AI, either because it's so supportive of their work and they just have so many habits and they've really, and I would say I probably am a little bit in that camp. Like, yeah, doing my work would be weird, hard,
Yeah.
difficult. Like I'm pretty embodied at this point. But some that actually feel like there's companionship, uh,
Hmm.
sort of a friend they talk to every day.
Yeah. No. I caught myself with that thought the other day, where I ask chat. I use chat for personal stuff, and then Claude more
I've talked to so many
for
people who say that.
yeah. Well, chat is like, your hype man friend.
Yes.
But you don't want it reviewing your work because it's not brutal enough.
Separation of church and state. Yeah.
Yeah. But it gave me this like really cute idea for an outing, and I was like, well, I kind of wanted to say thank you and send a picture of my 16-month-old, hugging a goat as a thank you.
So a few weeks ago, I was working on a massive project, and I was in the same literal project. Like we were working, me and Claude were working in the same thing. Like I was like for 3 days straight, and I kept coming back, and it's kind of a big research project on my end. And I don't remember where I gave it this detail. I really don't know where this was sensed or picked up. Came from somewhere. At the end, I literally was like, oh, I think we're done. I think we got it. I think this is it. And Claude said, you did it. Go paddleboarding. And I was like, paddle. I'm like, okay. Number one, accurate. Number two, scary. Number three, where did you get this? Number four, how did we get so close?
Yeah. No, it's a slippery slope.
To go away now because I am going paddleboarding and I don't know where you got that.
Yeah. I got very paranoid last week when they shut off Claude Fable, and I was like, wait, how do you know that I'm not a U.S. citizen? Because I thought they only shut it off for non-U.S. citizens until I Googled it and saw that they shut it off for everybody. But
okay, yeah. Did you have a chance to test it before it was taken away?
No, I did not.
No, I didn't either.
No.
Did you ask how it knew about paddleboarding? No, Ben, I should have. Somewhere in my riffing, and I speak a lot equally. So I might have, like, I just speak out, like, here's what I'm thinking. We need to research this, whatever. And so I don't know if
I just said I really need to get this done before we're off paddleboarding.
Yes, I don't know where it came from. Okay, so JCK is the same. It's interesting. We're not the only ones who split personal versus professional use of different models. So John's question, how accurate do you find the new US BLS stats versus the old? Oh, okay. So do you want to tackle that question? I gotta scroll back up. I lost it. The US labor market has always been a very large and dynamic organism to measure with the best of labor economists. That being said, is there a measurable difference between what it used to be and now? Do you understand that question?
Yeah. So we as a company, Revelia Labs, we've actually got into the business of also trying to predict the Jobs Friday number, or rather, I should say, we don't predict the Jobs Friday number. We give our version of what we think, how much the economy grew every month, and we did that. The impetus for that was Donald Trump firing the BLS commissioner, I've never had reasons to believe that either old or new. I don't know that there can be a distinction so sharp of old or new statistics. It's an incredibly hard thing to do, and I think we have like a newfound respect to what the BLS does. It has been a severely underfunded institution for such a long time, and I think they've just not been funded enough to explore new and better methodologies of data collection. I think in an ideal world, the BLS would be able to partner with a company like ourselves that also just sort of supplements the data with fresh and like different perspectives of like surveys are just dead and their survey response are terrible, which is the main driver of why the statistics have become so volatile, I would say, or where it takes a few iterations, and that's why the shifts in the data are so big month over month, right? But I don't have reasons to believe that there's been any like political pressure on the statistics, and I do believe that these are top-notch labor economists and statisticians that take their jobs very seriously and wouldn't crumble to political pressures.
Mm-hmm. Well said. So McCrae had an interesting question around skills. You've shown some correlation between skills being a better indicator than education and experience, if I'm summarizing that.
Oh, yeah, that paper. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so for an early career person who hasn't had a chance to demonstrate those skills like leadership, interpersonal, some of the human skills that you're talking about, what could be signals of those skills if they're not sort of well captured or well documented yet, or even well displayed yet?
Yeah. So the point of that paper is a very like fundamental one that just says that just measuring education levels and trying to predict salaries with that is just not as good as also knowing what skills people have. So that's basically the main point, which seems obvious now, but it's what labor economists have done for 50 years. So I think that's just like the base point of that paper. Our data enables that. For younger people to signal skills, I think what's becoming more and more important is your network. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of an undemocratic development, I would say. But I think both the resume and the job posting are a little bit dead, at least as like a matchmaking tool. And just sending off your resume to a job is, and this counts for everybody, not just entry level workers, but they're, like we said, overrepresented amongst job seekers. It's just not going to get you anywhere for most of the time. So having referrals or knowing someone in the right place where you might want to get a job, I think is just become even more important. It's always been important, but I think now it's even and the second one, I think, is really showing off work that you have done. And whether that's project work or any type of freelance work. I've even seen arguments that actually just like going back and doing that summer job selling ice cream might be like a better selling point these days than like, an Amazon internship. Because it shows that, that interaction, social skill part off better to future employers than the super polished CV might.
Yeah, I agree. And I think about, I wish I had more time to think about this, honestly, because I have like a little bit of something that's sort of like scratching at the edges for me. I do agree. Jason and I both say this all the time, personal branding and proof of work. Like it's sort of your best resume. It's not the actual resume, and the ability to showcase that with social media, and there's so many opportunities to sort of be your own advocate, almost like managing a fan page. Like
totally.
Wherever you can share content, whether it's LinkedIn or Substack or GitHub or wherever you can sort of showcase yourself. I do worry about the referral and who and
of course it's very undemocratic, like I said, right?
It's sort of ironic that we moved from like truly globalization, the ability to hire the best talent anywhere, and having sort of the infrastructure, including sponsoring workers and stuff like that. Like we had a real shift in that globalization of talent, and now I almost feel like we're backpedaling on, for a lot of reasons, including political and macroeconomic reasons. I almost feel like we're backpedaling on that shift, and now it really is sort of scrappy and individualistic again. I haven't even had time to actually think about it very much, but I do see a tiny bit of trending in that direction.
No, I mean, I hate giving that piece of advice, and I think it's such a like cheap thing to say, like just get better at networking. But at the same time, unfortunately it's true. I think you do need to be, in as much as you can, leverage your network. And I also sort of want to slap myself when I say it, but
I know there's like a little bit of nepotism that feels like it wants to happen there. But the point is, ask for intros, ask for help, network. It doesn't have to be a who you know and a sort of privileged, sort of thing. John wants to know, I agree, John, everybody sort of needs to understand at a macro level what I call the climate change of talent, like the broader forces that are shaping availability of talent, how you think about positioning people in the workforce for what value. I think there's a lot of macro stuff that needs to be better understood instead of, constantly shifting to sort of the more micro conditions. For understanding that and staying dialed in, what research reports, where do you go, what would you tell an HR person to follow?
I mean, I'll have to say Revelio Public Labor Statistics, shameless plug. We've only been doing for just under a year now, but I'm really proud of what we've achieved. And we're sitting on this data anyway, and I think we've been like really good at, turns out it's not just a different aggregation than at the company level. So yes, Revelio Public Labor Statistics, but otherwise a whole range of different news sites and frankly just economists that I follow. So obviously the jobs report on Fridays, and then the many commentators on it, Guy Berger, Daniel Zhao at Glassdoor, Ernie Tedeschi, many different just very good people that see that data and will tell you trends that you haven't even thought of looking at the same data. So yeah, I would say just these very good commentators on the data.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And remind us again, just so people can follow you and follow Revelio Labs, the 2 upcoming research reports.
Yeah, so go ahead and subscribe to our newsletter. It comes in every Tuesday, and we'll blast that out all over social media. So just rebelliolabs.com/news. You can follow me on LinkedIn. That's where I, blast all my work out. Just Lisa K. Simon. I think someone posted my LinkedIn earlier.
Yes.
And yeah, just give the company a follow on your favorite social media platform. These days, we're a big boy company, and I don't have to do all my social media by myself anymore. So we actually have a social media team that's very talented and 10 years younger than me, luckily. So, they understand the game much better.
I love it. Thanks so much for being here and sharing all of this information. I heard you mention a 16-month-old.
Yes.
Is that the only?
It's the only for now, and she's just started walking, so we have our hands full now.
So you're in Boston,
Yes.
4th of July holiday weekend for those of us in the US next weekend. I can only imagine Boston does a great job of Independence Day.
Yes,
Big
absolutely.
plans
The
for the
harbor will be popping.
wedding. For sure. And I've seen a ton of headlines coming out of Boston with all the World Cup fans as well.
Yeah, the Tartan Army. Everybody's very, very depressed that they've left. I don't have high hopes for my fellow countrymen. They're playing in Boston next week. I don't think the Germans will make up for the lack of the Scots in this city, unfortunately. Maybe in terms of their beer drinking capabilities, but not in their cheerfulness.
Yes, that's true. Different cultural positioning, maybe. Well, fantastic. So, as a reminder for everybody, we're not going to do a show on July 3rd. I think we might have a light audience if we tried, which we're always happy to do, but we do take breaks once in a while as well. So, we'll be back on Friday, July 10th. And thanks to everybody in the community for chiming in with questions and engagement as always. Lisa, I'm sure I'll see you back out there. We tend to overlap at a
I'm sure. Yeah. I'll see you in Amsterdam at the latest, I saw.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much for being here. And I hope everybody has an absolutely fantastic weekend. We'll see you again soon. Take care.
Bye.